Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ziprecruiter.com/zip. That's ziprecruiter.com/zip. ziprecruiter.com/zip.
Remember those endless summer days that felt like they just last forever? Sun rays kiss your skin. Grass tickles your toes as you bite into the creamy popsicle melting in your hand. Pure, unbothered bliss. Capture more sun-drenched memories with the Orange Vanilla Dream Hydration Multiplier from Liquid IV. This nostalgic vanilla flavor with notes of candied orange can help keep you hydrated while savoring your favorite golden hour moments. No matter how hot your summer gets, just 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you better than water alone. It's 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, with 8 vitamins and nutrients for refreshing on-the-go hydration. Live your summer dream with Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code INDULGE20 at checkout. That's code INDULGE20 at liquidiv.com.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I've always appreciated that, because if you don't take a shot, you can't be successful. And just like we talked about before, gosh, I wish I would have done this a lot sooner being an entrepreneur. But also would say, even when it comes to being in a golf tournament and maybe there's this huge athlete, like say it was Bo Jackson going, I can't approach Bo. He's not going to care about, I can't approach. But it's like, you don't take that shot, you're going to miss the opportunity. So you got to just be who you are, be you, and take a risk.
Step into the world of success with Your Brand Amplified, the ultimate podcast designed to unravel the intricacies of thriving businesses. I'm your host, Annika Jackson, and I'm on a mission to uncover the stories, strategies, and secrets that have propelled entrepreneurs and business leaders to success. I am really excited to jump into this conversation with James Hilovsky. James, I've had people on to talk about franchise and that opportunity. You have the Fran dream. You have so much expertise in this area, and I think you approach it in a different way that's going to lead to a really rich conversation. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. One of your focus areas, as we were talking about before we jumped on, that I noticed in some of the posts and some of the things that you do is athletes, right? And what do you do when your career is done? So before we get into that, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about your background. You had some time in the pros, some minor leagues, you said. And how did that influence how you went into business and what you decided to focus on?
Well, yeah. So it really was so playing in the minor leagues, having that opportunity, and then all of a sudden the cheering stops and you are left with like, what do I do? In my instance, I had a career in the restaurant business. I went back into the restaurant business. So I was in corporate America for about 25 years in a corporate chain with a restaurant. And then from there, a company said, hey, come help us start our franchise system and you'll lead that. So I absolutely joined because I was excited about that. I wanted to get out of corporate America. So I was in charge of franchisees, opening new stores. So I took that store from 1 to 100 in a matter of 2 years. It was crazy, really, really busy. And then the largest franchisee of that company said, hey, come partner with us and work for us. So this is where, yes, I had the athlete background, but really where it all ties in, because those partners were, the dad was a former NFL football player, and the 2 brothers, his 2 sons, were actual in the NFL playing at right now or back in that day. So That was great partnership. It was very fun. We had our restaurant company. We did an ice cream franchise as well as we did our own cookie dough concept. And then we did our own coffee shop concept. And then one of the brothers, he retired from the NFL, a very long career. The other brother had a contract and he got hurt, couldn't fulfill the rest of it. So they now were looking for something to do and they didn't want to do the restaurants anymore, which I was happy. I was kind of done with that side of the world anyways. So they wanted to go in the tequila business. And I have nothing against tequila. It's just really not my expertise. So I decided, okay, well, I looked to own another business besides a restaurant. And then I thought, well, being with the brothers and around pro athletes and having that background myself, you'll realize there were so many people that come up to them with crazy investments, even their best friends of invest in this, or even like, hey, I want 20 tickets to the game. And they're like, well, I don't get free tickets, right? I get 2 free tickets. So, that's the cost. So it's all the grabbing at athletes and people pulling them different ways just because they think they have money, they could do whatever. And so then I set out, I just go, you know what? I'm going to go into the franchise world and show people franchise options, good franchise options that have been vetted, and show them what's out there and make sure that they make a right decision. And yes, I do work with professionals that are looking to get out of 9 to 5, but I also wanted to tailor that to the athletes because I wanted them to have somewhere to go that's going to show them right investments and the opportunity to be successful in this franchise. Not only that, because of people that pull on them, but also in the restaurant company I was with, I saw a lot of franchisees in that system that had no idea what they were getting themselves into. So that's kind of how I picked an athlete as like, hey, I really want to help athletes when the cheering stops.
Yeah. And I'd love to talk about how you marketed or how you market to athletes. Is it through connections? Do you partner directly with the NBA, the NFL? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it is through connections, through outreach, LinkedIn outreach, Instagram outreach. And then really I get a lot of connections. I play a lot of golf. So I do a lot of celebrity golf tournaments where athletes are at, and I don't approach them. They probably go, hey, what do you do? And then it's like, oh, and before you know it, I got 10 athletes talking to me about, yeah, I want to get into the business. I want something to do. I kind of want that. And really, when you think about franchise business for an athlete, it is right up an athlete's alley because a franchisor gives you a playbook of how to run the business. They used to follow in a playbook all their life. And then the other thing that athletes have is they're used to betting on themselves their whole life. So it's not that fear of, hey, I'm going into something unknown. And it really fits well because not only do you have the franchisor becomes the coach, but the franchisees in the system, they become like your teammates. And I really feel that athletes really thrive in the franchise business world.
Yeah. Well, and how hands-on do you have to be, especially if you are not somebody who's leaving the professional corporate world, wants to get their hands really involved because of their business acumen and what they've built up, right? I imagine that some athletes really want to be hands-on, but others just look at it as investment opportunity, want other people to run the show.
Absolutely. 100%. A lot of retired athletes, they will want to hire someone and be in the background. Others want to jump right into it. I'll give you an example. I have one NFL football player. He's playing right now, just signed a really nice contract, free agency. So that was good for him. But he's in his 30s. So he knows, hey, you know what, James, I have 2, maybe 3 years left. And I know when I'm done, I'm going to be making $0 from the NFL. So I would like to get into something that's going to produce $500,000 profit. And let's find a franchise. So we looked at different options and he came across a gym option that was a boutique gym, but did supplements, did weight loss challenge for 6 weeks. So he really liked that, hey, I'm helping people, I'm helping them lose weight. And I want to do 3 because that probably gets me to my $500,000 profit or more. And I want to do this now while I'm playing. So I'll have all 3 open when I'm done. And he's right now assembling the team that's going to lead him. And then the franchisor is really good in this instance because they're like, hey, we will help support you and kind of give you that extra, set of eyes on this to help get you off the ground.
And that was my next question of how involved are you after you help them find the opportunity? Because I imagine your expertise would be invaluable as somebody starting up a business who might not have had a business before, knowing how to hire the right people or who to hire, right? And what questions to ask. And so it sounds like that is kind of the franchisor is helping with some of that process.
Yeah, the franchisor will help with that process because they know their brand a little bit better than myself. But I always tell my athlete clients, hey, if you ever need anything, come to me. I'm here for you. I can help you in any way. But usually when I hand them off to the franchisor and the franchisors, they're dealing with them, sometimes they want to be able to be the ones to help them because they know their brand better. And like, absolutely, that's fine. And, obviously check in with the athlete just to make sure they're doing good and still thriving.
And do you think it helps to have a celebrity name behind a specific franchise business in terms of like their exact locations? Because I'm sure they can do some appearances or just knowing its own, people would associate it with that person.
100%. In this particular instance, the athlete, he's going to open in Houston, even though he played for Houston. He's now at Jacksonville. That's where he's at. But he wanted to open in Houston because his family's still there. And his first one's going to go in the Houston area. And already they're planning, okay, pre-opening to sell memberships. I'm going to appear there and I probably could get CJ to come there, CJ Stroud, the quarterback, and just his buddies from the Texans that he knows to come out for, opening day or sign up to, be members of the gym. So absolutely, it helps greatly to have the name to do that, making appearances and that.
Yeah, fantastic. What is that you still love about this business? You've been in this and you grew up in operations at Del Taco, Piology Pizzeria, helped these former NFL players with their businesses and trying different, you said everything from cookie dough, right, to coffee shops. So it sounds like obviously you really like helping people find the right opportunities. But what else excites you?
It really comes down to that. Really super excites me to find even someone who's worked 9 to 5 and been in corporate America for, 30 years, and just to help them find something that they think will be a great fit for them, a great business, and not only just for their lifetime and to help people. Hey, I have this business now. Maybe something happened where they had a divorce. I get a lot of people who've had a divorce or problems to where, hey, I'm older now. I'm looking to retire and, maybe in the divorce, I lost everything. So now they can retire and own a business and be in for them. And that business can now become their retirement. And, they don't really have to rely on Social Security. They have the business that's going to help them out and they have something to do. And then, if their goal is to have another and make a little franchise empire, that's awesome too. So I just love that. And I also really, for myself, when I was working for a company and then you transition into having ownership and having something of your own, I think most entrepreneurs would say this too. I just go, gosh, I wish I would have done this a lot sooner. I wish I wouldn't have worked at corporate. You got a lot out of corporate America, but I also go, gosh, I wish I would have been an entrepreneur a lot sooner than I started.
100% agree with that. And finding opportunities that have some success metrics built in is even better, right? Because that's part of the entrepreneurship journey is ups and downs and things that are failures or lessons that you have to take. So I do want to ask about the financing side, because you did mention people get divorced, they lost everything. So what does it take to find the right franchise, find one that fits within your parameters in terms of time, territory, budget, all of that on that side of things for the franchisor? So that's my first question. And then I want to turn to some other stuff in economics.
Absolutely. So really, I would say if you have about $50,000 of liquid cash that you can use, then you're looking at franchises in the range of 100,000 to 200,000. There's really good franchises out there that could produce 6 figures of profitability. Now, if you're thinking a restaurant or an entertainment center or something like that, you're looking 700,000 to $1 million. So that might be out of reach, but there's opportunities out there. And then there's really different ways that you could go. Some people self-fund the project. Others will do a HELOC on their home. If they have a 401k, some people will take a 401k where they borrow from their 401k, or the SBA loan, which requires about, if it's a $200,000 total investment, they want to see about 20% of that down in a business account. So you have skin in the game, and then you could get financing that way. So there's different ways to go about that. I've had some clients that have been wiped out of just circumstances, and they've actually found a partner, and then they've been able to partner up and go at that route as well.
Yeah, that's a good point about, because when I think franchise, I usually think food, right? We think of the restaurant side of the business. Gyms, what are some other franchises that could be lower barrier to entry?
Yeah. So dog grooming, $200K total for a brick and mortar dog grooming business. There's mobile dog grooming as well. There is a lot of home service markets that are under $200K. So a business that does windows, maybe it's a business that does screens, replaces your screens, does screen rooms for you. There's remodel of bathroom remodels that under $200K, painting business, $200K, junk removal, very good business. 200, everybody needs junk removed. And then restoration of fire, water damage, $200K. In fact, the one that I placed the most clients in this year has been a golf simulator business.
Okay. So, yeah, those are so popular.
So that's very popular. It's a little bit more than $200K, probably like around the $350, $400K range. But I mean, how cool is it to say, I own a golf simulator business?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm sure the franchisor also has the playbook of here's how you go out and market yourself in your community. Because all the businesses, I'm like, those all sound great. I know I wouldn't have any experience in any of those.
So. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, even like HVAC. So HVAC is a really great business, but what's the problem with HVAC? There's a lot of companies out there. So how do you differentiate yourself to that? So the franchisor usually has a really strong marketing plan of how to penetrate into the market. And then basically, really what it comes down to in any business is service. If you provide great service, you show up on time, you do a great job, you do great follow-up, your odds are you're going to make it and do very well.
Now, turning to the restaurant business, we all know we've seen ups and downs in prices, right? And I think I read recently, like it used to be eggs, now it's meat. So how does that affect the ability to be a successful franchise in this day and age when going to a fast food restaurant is going to cost you as much or more than a home-cooked meal?
Yeah, the restaurant business is very tough and the margins are shrinking more by the day. And so it is one, if you came to me and said, I don't have any restaurant business, I want to get into the restaurant business, I would try to talk you out of it, to be honest with you. I would, because it's the highest investment level. The margins are really low and you're really looking at a lot of hours and a lot of time, unless you have a really good team of people that you know that are very experienced in running restaurants, then give it a shot. But yeah, it is a very tough business. The labor market, the labor crunch is going up. Restaurant industry is doing some things to combat that. The mobile ordering, the kiosks where you order. So it is getting better, but that investment level is so high that it's hard to recover if you lose everything in a business and it's $1 million loss to where if it's a $200K loss.
Do you have any franchises yourself at this point?
I don't. I have about 3 that I'm looking at right now. And the reason why I am based in California, and I always have that, well, I think I'm going to base myself in Nevada or Texas, so
better
it's
taxes.
Exactly. I don't know that I really want, nothing wrong with having a business in California, but it is a little bit tougher. But there's a business really that I'm kind of looking at right now that's a franchise that does advertising through TV. So you buy the TVs, you go into a business and you sell them, say, hey, can I put this TV up in your restaurant? You can have free advertisement. And then you sell the advertisement, to different businesses in this particular business's facility. So you do that all over. And I think you can do really well with that. But also another reason why I was looking at just for my own advertising.
Yeah, so that's becoming a really, really popular, I think retail TV advertising is one of the biggest markets right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being somebody who teaches digital media at UNC.
Exactly.
So I'm like,
I saw your arms light up when I said that. So I knew I said something great.
Yeah, it is something we talk about quite often and like the advantages all of that. Yes, I'd say that's a fantastic idea and you should pursue it. Just from my outsider opinion, not knowing anything about the franchise opportunity. So we've talked about a few ways that you market yourself. You go to celebrity golf tournaments. You lean on connections, and those, I'm sure you get great reviews and word of mouth referrals. You do LinkedIn outreach, which I will be honest, I have not from you, but other people reach out to me, cold outreach about franchise opportunities. And I look at my profile and I'm like, how do they decide that I'm the right person to send an email to? Because it's not really something that's in,
They probably were throwing darts.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. And then, of course, there's connected TV opportunity. So what are some of the other things that you do? I mean, you come on podcasts. Do you rely on digital advertising through social media, blogs? Do you have a course?
Oh, there's a lot. So let's go for it.
Okay.
So I do really old school. You'll laugh at this, but I do print ads. And the print ads that I do are in not newspaper ads, but to flyers that are, they're magazines that are out in your local golf course. So it's golfers that are picking it up and, oh, look, the Frandry McCollum. So I do a print ad that way. I do what in the franchise world as well is what they call portals, where you advertise for a specific brand or a specific industry. And then they send you, the people that inquire about that. So I do that. And I kind of change that up a lot of different industries. Right now, I think my ad's on preschools in the education field. But it goes through sports. I kind of always change it up and change that. There's Instagram, TikTok ads as well that I do out there, and also do it's called it like mixers at the Chamber of Commerce. Of course, you go in there and do those. Then there are, we talked about the celebrity golf tournaments that I do. And then I've been toying with the idea. I haven't signed the agreement yet, but looking at possibly doing a billboard, but I don't know what kind of response that'll get. I'm trying to decide between pricing because you got to do, okay, what's it going to cost? What's my return going to be? So you got to factor that into it as well. Yeah. So those are just kind of a few just right off the top of my head that I do. I always want to make sure that, my name's out there and that I would love it if I was like that guy that was anybody calls for franchise. But, basically what I do is kind of like real estate agents. There's a lot of people out there like what I do. So, I just want to be that guy that, you can differentiate for me. What I say is, hey, I do work with athletes, but my whole goal is to match you to something for you and a franchise for you that I think is going to perform for you. Not one that I think, oh, if I get you into this franchise, that's going to be a bigger commission for myself. That's not the way I look at it. It's all about do what's right for the client and it'll all come back to you.
Yeah. I think it's great that you have a multi-pronged approach because it helps you reach different audiences at different times.
100%. You got to have those different audiences of, some will be, hey, this is tailored to the athlete. This is tailored to the, 9 to 5, person that wants to get out of corporate America. So I'm a strong believer. You have to really do that. And then I really think you have to give any advertisement, you got to give it at least a quarter to see how it's doing. You got to at least give it 3 months. I don't think you can go a month and then pull it. I think you got to give it a quarter, see how it's doing, and then go, well, if it did okay, is there a tweak that I can make to it? Or is it, let's move on to the next thing?
Yeah. I really appreciate that you said that because that is something really important. You have to give things time to go through a whole cycle or a couple cycles. I wanted to also ask about data analysis, industry knowledge. Are there specific magazines, newsletters, places that you're able to get research on the different industries you work within to make sure that you're staying up to date and that, as you said, there are certain things that you'll tell people, kind of nudge them to versus others, depending on their level of expertise and interest and budget?
Always am researching. Actually, I was reading a magazine. It's called the Franchise Times today, right before we hopped on. And I read about this couple of the franchises that they got themselves into trouble or franchisees are suing them about maybe they made some bad claims or something. So there's always two sides to that story, of course, because, you're not going to find a franchise system where you have 100% people happy. But, so I got to do some research into why was this franchise disgruntled? And if this franchisee was disgruntled, I can't show that franchise anymore.
Yeah.
So that's how I like to stay on top of it. And I also will always tend probably at least 5 different presentations on new franchise that I haven't heard of, or a franchise that I have heard of that, okay, let's see if they have anything new or what can I glean or learn about this franchise.
Yeah. Yeah. Because actually, as you were saying that, I was thinking about, I know there's some popular yoga, Pilates, or other kinds of studios that kind of oversold. And so gyms can be a great investment, but they could also be somewhat risky if the people at the top of it are greedy and they're not paying attention to what's best for their business, their brand, and their franchisees.
Oh, 100%. There actually was a gym concept where they did really great starting out. And then the founder took a step back and sold it to a franchise. It might have been a franchise group, but the founder sold it. Then the new owners took it and grew it really large. But they have a lot of disgruntled franchisees, a lot of problems. So the founder said, this can't happen to something. It was my baby. I birthed this. He bought it back and he's brought it all back to the way it was and making those changes.
So important. Are there any success stories that you can share with us? You don't have to mention names, but people who were maybe unsure, maybe they saw the opportunity, but they didn't realize the full impact and success that they'd be able to have. Or any other stories?
Oh, absolutely. So there's a couple that come to mind. One was a former NFL football player. He was doing really good after his career, and he had a winery. And he was like, came to me and said, I have this winery. It's a great business. It's not really my passion. Love to find something. So we looked at gyms, we looked at restaurants, and we looked at some automotive industry, different franchises. And he talked with them and kind of got close and then was like, no, I don't want to do that. I'll just stay with my wine business. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And this went on for about 9 months. And then I just said, okay, we tried. It's okay. I'll keep, if I find anything interesting, I'll come up with something. Then the year mark hit and he calls me up and goes, I know what I want to do. I want a franchise that focuses on mental health, one that focuses on addiction, TMS. That's what I want. Do one of those franchises exist? I said, well, I'll find one for you if they don't. So research found one that did. He talked with them. He loved the franchise. He opened one up in Miami, Florida. That's where he's from. Sold his wine business. And his goal is to put one in every NFL city.
Oh,
so
amazing.
That's his goal. He found his passion.
So needed as well.
Another story. Yes, so needed. Exactly. Right? Another story there was a former minor league baseball player. He was a number 1 draft pick. He never made it to the majors. So he was just minor league baseball player. He's in 9 to 5 working corporate. And he goes, James, my goal is generational wealth in a family business. What can I do to make this happen? So we looked at restoration and he wanted HVAC. And then he's like, dog grooming, because I told him about dog grooming. He's like, okay, $200K to get into it. Margins are about 30 to 40%. He goes, I think this is what I want to do. So he signed a 3-unit deal. So the first one, his wife and his daughter are going to open that and run that one, which it's up and going now. When the second one gets up and going, he's going to transfer from his corporate job into the business. And then they're going to open up the third. And his plans are not to stop at 3. He wants to, build from there, but he wants to get the 3 going. So he's financially, in a really great place to even expand.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I have had to switch dog groomers a few times because it's so hard to get appointments.
Right.
So
and then,
especially when they can come to your home.
When you find that dog groomer that does a great job and shows up on time, they're like gold, right?
They are like gold, but then when they're overbooked or when they're booked up months in advance and you can't even get in there. And I work from home. So having a mobile groomer particularly is liquid or not liquid gold, but it's,
Well, in this particular franchise too, you could take your dog. It's like a car wash. It's unlimited grooming for a monthly subscription price.
Oh, wow.
So, so right there, that blows away the competition because who does that?
Yeah.
And it really is a good franchise.
Yeah. That sounds amazing. You'll have to share.
Yes.
Me afterwards. So how many check-ins do you do if there's like a roundabout number once you get somebody in, they strike a deal, they're getting set up? Because you said that you're available, but do you, check in with them 3, 6 months or, 6 months, a year?
I try to do 6 months to a year. It really gets hard and difficult too, because, the franchisor, I don't want to step on any toes. So I feel if they reach out to me, I'm absolutely there for them. And then I will maybe do a checkup every now and then via email, but I don't expect a response or whatnot. But, yeah, it really is. I like them to reach out to me because I just want, I just want them to be okay. But I do check in very periodically with them just to make sure all's good.
Yeah. Well, and just thinking also in this world where we lean heavily into AI, at least in my world, and we're talking about how to use it in teaching, how to use it for people to still have critical thinking skills, and how it's going to take over some of the workflows. And I'm sure it can take over some of the operational workflows too for franchisees. But it's also sounds like these are businesses that are tried and true, that need a human at the core, right? Service-based businesses. And so for people who don't want to enter into the AI world, they say, oh, I'm too old to learn new skills. I don't want to start over. This could be a really great opportunity.
Absolutely. And, AI is a tough little thing. And I would say when I first heard of it, I was like, oh, it's going to take our jobs, blah, blah, blah. And, I use AI like crazy. I use it to pin my emails. I'll voice my emails. I use it for my CRM system. If someone calls me, it answers them back. It texts them, it emails them. So I've embraced the AI to where it can help me in my business. And I think you have to learn those tools because I think they can be very powerful in your business and can save you tons of time.
We were talking before we jumped on. You're like, you do a lot of different things. Also, you have the Fran Dream, which is a great name for a business, easy to remember. You can immediately picture it, right? It's not boring. But how big is your team? Because you have to handle an awful lot to run your business, everything from the marketing and the strategy to the operations to the sales, the funnel, the outreach to potential new clients, and then getting them through the process. And I'm sure it's not a quick process. Like you said, with the one person, it took a good 9 months for them to say, okay, or 6 months or 9 months, right? And be like, I'm not quite ready. And then a few more months for them to say, oh, well, now I know what I want to do.
Yeah, definitely. So I have 1099 contractors that help me. Yeah. So I contract out marketing, social media, all that I do have some help that I do. And so, I have a team, but it is a nice team that's behind the scenes that help me, which I appreciate all their help. And really, AI has really helped that. It saves me so much time. I was just so happy that I just said, okay, I'm going to embrace this technology. Let me figure it out. Let me try what it can do. I mean, it can do graphics. I also do franchise development. So I do franchise development for a brand called VP Fitness. It's a boutique fitness brand that just started. They have one unit in Rhode Island and they just started to franchise. So I needed to do a little post for them. And I was like, hey, I need this image generated along with this post. 5 minutes later, it was done. So yeah, it's crazy.
You also must have some good prompt engineering though, because even when I put in very specific prompts, sometimes, especially with images, I'm like, okay, now you need to tweak this, you need to tweak this, depending on what tools as well.
Images are very tricky. And yes, you do have to prompt it up. Yeah. I was lucky. I got to be honest. I was lucky. I did the image on the first try. I was like, whoa. Usually you're like, no, this is too green or this, or that's not what I'm looking for. So yeah, it hit a home run on the first try. I was very impressed.
Amazing. What are the tools that you like to use that are AI driven?
So I like, obviously chat, imaging. I do, like I said, my CRM system is full of, it does automatic text, automatic email, calls for me if I want. So those are the ones that I really hop on it. And then you also go, because there's another day, how much AI do you use? And I go, well, I just use Chat GPT and this and that. It's like, no, I use AI for LinkedIn outreach. I use AI for, outreach for on the web of Google, and that kind of helps reach customers that way. So I'm like, dang, I really use a lot of AI stuff. It's like, okay. And then when I'm doing an email, it's usually voice and then AI writes the email for me. So I'm like, wow, I do a lot of things that are AI that I didn't even realize that were, AI.
Yeah. No, but that's great. And the way that you're using these systems is a great use case.
And spreadsheets for, when we're looking at advertising going, okay, this is how many leads I had. This is, what stage they converted, went to a phone call, went to a meeting. Can you give me stats on that? And, that would have taken me, hours that took AI, minutes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Truly crazy. I know that we're going to have people go to thefrandream.com. We'll have in the show notes, and that you have a business assessment on your website? What does that look like?
Yeah. So the business assessment's on there, free for anybody to take, and it'll spit out of, hey, you would be really a great business owner, or your personality matches one of CEO, a famous CEO or something. It'll match you up to what's your attributes. And sometimes when I'm working with a client, it helps me of going, oh, they're really strong in the marketing area. So maybe franchises that deal with a lot of marketing would be great fits for them, or really strong in the technological area. So it gives a lot of really good data points that helps me help match someone to a franchise. Because I have about 500 to 600 franchises that I deal with that can match you to. So it definitely will help.
Fantastic. Okay, 2 more questions, James. Do you have a favorite quote, mantra, verse, poem, family motto?
Well, really, motto is, and it's a sports motto, it's from Wayne Gretzky, and it's, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I've always appreciated that, because if you don't take a shot, you can't be successful. And just like we talked about before, gosh, I wish I would have done this a lot sooner being an entrepreneur. But also would say, even when it comes to being in a golf tournament, and maybe there's this huge athlete, like say it was Bo Jackson going, I can't approach Bo. He's not going to care about, I can't approach. But it's like, well, you don't take that shot, you're going to miss the opportunity. So you got to just be who you are, be you, and take a risk.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then is there one key takeaway, something you really want people to think about when they're coming away from this episode?
Well, yes, it would be like, okay, what is it? If you're an athlete, when the cheering stops, what's going to be your passion? You may have enough money to, have generational wealth, which is great. But do you want to have something to do where you have a business that you can go to, you can build a team, you can have teammates, and you can recreate your athletic career in the business career? And then if you're out there in 9-to-5 business, is retirement, collecting Social Security, 401k, is that good enough for you? Or do you look for something that might build generational wealth in a franchise, or a business that's out there? Or, even if you maybe have a kid that's in a junior or senior in high school, and you're going, hey, when they get out of college, they're going to be $200,000 in debt. What if I get them a franchise business and they're an entrepreneur and they skip that?
Amazing. Yeah. Creative thinking. Thank you so much for bringing this really rich conversation. I'm pretty sure in about 600 episodes, this is the most in-depth conversation I've had. I appreciate your openness, honesty, the storytelling, and really diving deep into the opportunity, not just talking about the surface level.
Absolutely. I mean, it is a pleasure being on your show, and you're just an amazing host, and I really appreciate it.
I just love having these conversations. So, James, thank you. More to come. I have a lot to talk to you about. And thank you to everybody who's watching this episode, listening to it on your favorite platform. This is an opportunity that I think is going to be more and more important in the future as we look at, we're not going to be able to depend on Social Security if you're in the United States. We need to be thinking about other ways to increase our revenue streams, maximize our capacity, and not just look at our lives in a few years when we're at that almost retirement point and go, oh no, what am I going to do now? So this could be something for you, and we'll have all the information about James and his company, The Fran Dream, in the show notes. Thanks for listening or watching to this episode of Your Brand Amplified. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast listening platform. And if you want to learn more, check us out at yourbrandamplified.com.